Welcome to Christy's Bits of Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Christy. My goal is to help you start your mornings off right by sharing a short story or a parable that will motivate and encourage you to live your best life with God. By using the infinite wisdom found in His Word, you truly can live a life of happiness and peace in Christ. I'm living proof. I hope you'll stick around and subscribe. Also, if you like what you hear, please share with your friends and family so they can scoop up some bits of wisdom for themselves. Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. I'm calling this one The Duck. And I know that sounds like a funny title because you're like, Duck, what in the world? But it's all about contentment, and I will explain to you as I go on. So if you listen to my first episode, you'll know that I worked at Dollywood in the years 2018 and 2019. I worked in a high-end furniture store. We sold farmhouse furniture, and it was like the thrill of my lifetime. I had always loved Dollywood, been going there for, oh my goodness, 20 some years. Just loved it. So when I moved to Tennessee, it was just a dream to work there. I knew it wasn't going to be forever, but I knew that if I could work there as long as I could, I'd be happy. So that was my happy place. But my store was literally, it sat on it was a very large store, and half the store sat on a really big, huge pond that's right in the middle of the park. And so, I mean, we could walk to the back of the store and look through the slats in the floor and see the pond underneath us. And the pond had big fish. I had huge fish. It had turtles. We had tons of wildlife at Dollywood because we were built on, or because it was built on the side of a mountain. So we had the fish, the turtles, we had ducks. I mean, we had ducks galore, ducks everywhere roaming that park. And a certain time of year, it would be mating season. So here would be tons of little baby ducks all over the place. We had skunks and squirrels. A few times we had goats that would come down out of the mountains, like mountain goats. That was funny because security would have to literally chase those things down and take them back up and let him loose in the mountains. But anyway, about 3 years ago, I was working. It was a beautiful day. The sky was like a cobalt blue. It was so pretty. There was no clouds in the sky. It was just gorgeous. And the park was really crowded that day. People were just running around, doing what they wanted to do, like having fun, what you do at a theme park, just having a good time. And I had walked to, we had these big barn doors on the store I worked in, and I had walked over to one of the doors, and I was standing there just watching the people, and I saw one of the ducks, and he was just walking around through the crowd, and he was just walking around, and he was actually looking for food because those ducks were really smart, and if they could get people to feed them, that was awesome. But if people wouldn't feed them whatever food that was dropped, they would like jump on that, really fast. So they knew where to hang around that. They hung around the picnic tables and just anywhere there was people with food. So that little duck, he was just walking around, he was just content, just walking around looking for food. I watched him, he went and got in the pond. Um he was just living his best duck life there at Dollywood. And it seemed like all of a sudden out of the blue, a storm came. Now, I'm sure that my attention was, probably, on my store, on my customers, and I didn't see the clouds that were rolling in. But to me, it felt like it was just suddenly. It just seemed like suddenly this big storm came and it started pouring rain. I mean, it was coming down in sheets. It seemed to be blowing sideways. It was hard for the people to even see. But people started fleeing that place. Let me tell you, they started running. They were buying ponchos faster than I could sell them. They were buying umbrellas. They were taking cover in my store. And so didn't really have anything to do. The store got packed out. Nobody was really doing anything. They were all just kind of hanging around. And I glanced out the door and I saw that duck again. And here he come. He was just walking through the rain. He was just walking around, just walking through the puddles, just like he had been doing when it was sunny and pretty outside. I mean, his little duck feet were just flapping in those little puddles. I mean, that's what they're made for. And it was almost like he didn't even take notice to the storm that had everybody else up in arms and rushing to the front gate to leave. And I watched that duck, and I watched the water hit his back, and it just seemed to like just almost bounce off or just roll off. And we've all heard that saying, like water off a duck's back, and that is so true. I mean, water literally does run off of a duck's back. It just rolls off its feathers, and that's how God created it to be. He created those feathers to not allow anything to penetrate that duck. I mean, he just created it to just roll off so that duck wouldn't get wet anywhere. But anyway, like I said, that duck seemed at home in the puddles. I mean, he seemed like he didn't have a care in the world. He wasn't mad that it was raining. He was content. And I thought about that duck for the last couple of years, and how he was happy with no matter what was going on around him. He was happy when it was sunny. He was walking around getting food. And then he was happy when it was raining, walking around trying to find food, getting in the pond. I mean, nothing seemed to bother that little duck. He was just happy. And I thought we can learn a lot from that duck, because we all have days where it seems like the sun just shines on us and our life can't get any better and everything's going just perfect. I mean, just seems like, life's just smiling on us. And then it seems like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a storm will come. And then we feel like we're getting hammered by life's troubles and problems. And it's different for all of us. I mean, for some, it could be financial problems. For some, it could be relationship problems. Some, it could be, friendship problems or whatever. Maybe your car has broken down. Maybe, your refrigerator quit and you're going to have to spend $1,200 on a new one or whatever. I mean, just whatever. Those are life's problems that seem to happen when we don't want them to happen. I mean, we never want them to happen, but they just seem to come at the worst time, especially when it seems like life's been shining on us. But I thought about it, and I thought like the key to making it through all of that is to be like that little duck. We just have to take whatever comes and we have to adapt to it. So if your life right now, if you seem like you're in the sunshine and it's just shining on you and everything is going great, then you have to be thankful and you have to be happy and you have to soak it all in and just live every day to the fullest. But if life has sent you a hard storm, then you have to stop, take a deep breath, and think about that duck. And as hard as it is, and I know it's hard, listen, I've been through a lot of troubles in my life. So I'm not just blowing smoke or whatever. You have to allow those troubles to roll off your feathers like that duck did. Just allow them to roll off your back. You have to get out there and adapt to the situation. You have to adapt to whatever happens. God has equipped us as humans to adapt, or as his, I don't want to say as humans because not everybody can do this, but God has equipped us as his children to have the ability to let the storms just pass on by. We don't have to give in. We don't have to let life storms tear us up and leave us, wringing our hands and saying, "Oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?" Because the Bible tells us that God gives us a peace that passes all understanding. And when we have those problems, we can go to Him and say, "Listen, Lord, this is what's going on. This is what's happened in my life. My life was going good yesterday, but today I got a bunch of problems and I can't make it without you. I need you to help me. I need you to give me peace." And he will. That duck is equipped to survive both of those situations. And so are you as God's child. And the minute that you learn to not get upset when the enemy throws something at you or when life has handed you something that you didn't want to deal with, you'll start to live a much happier life, I promise. And I know that because I've learned to be like that duck. I strive every day to adapt to my surroundings and the circumstances that are going on. And the things that used to bother me, I now let them roll right off my feathers. I just let them roll right off my back. I mean, it wasn't easy, but I've learned to do that. It's a conscious decision every day. It's like my last podcast when I said it was called Choose to Not Remember. So you have to make a conscious choice every day that you are not going to let life circumstances get you down, but you're going to adapt to whatever's going on. And I guarantee you that when you do that, you'll be so much happier. Last year, when I got my cancer diagnosis, I thought about that duck and how he didn't allow that storm to cause him to panic. He just kept walking around. And I wasn't going to allow that to cause me to panic either. I realized that my life was going to be filled with rain for a while and dark clouds, and I was going to deal with it and I was going to keep going. The Bible tells us in 1 Peter 5 and 7, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. And so that's all you need to do when the rain is pouring down, is just ask God to help you be like the duck and cast your cares. And then I know I said I was going to talk about being content. And something about that duck, he was content with the sun and he was content with the storm. He didn't care. He did not care what the weather was outside. He just didn't care. He was walking around because that storm wasn't going to get to him. That rain wasn't getting down inside his feathers. He was protected. And that's what God does for us. The Bible tells us in Hebrews 13:5, let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. For he had said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So that means don't sit around talking, oh, I wish I had this, oh, I wish I had that. I mean, it's not wrong to want things, and it's not wrong to live a life where, you strive to do better and you strive to have more. And, there's nothing wrong with that. But whatever situation you find yourself in and whatever your circumstances are, he said, be content because he's there with you. He's there on the sunny days and he's there on the stormy days. He's there when life's smiling at you, and he's there when you feel like you're drowning. And he'll never leave you or forsake you. And one last scripture I want to give you is 1 Timothy 6:6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain that we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us therewith be content. And the Lord knows that we need more than food and raiment. We have to have shelter and we have to have a vehicle. We have to have jobs and all that. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I've always said there's nothing wrong with having things as long as things don't have you. So be content with whatever you have in life. Be content with whatever. If it's the sunshiny days or if it's the rainy days, be content. And I promise you, you'll have a much happier life. And I will see you. This will wrap up the week, and I will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend.